I, like you, have been through a lot. And another new technology is really the last thing that we want to do at our age, our old advanced age. And we've been through the first version of the internet where it made all that beeps and boops and sounds, and you couldn't get on the internet if your mom was on the line, on the landline. We've gone through You've Got Mail, when we would get 10 free hours of the internet, and we collected those CDs like it was gold, right? We've been through the start of the social media. We went through early versions of Facebook when it wasn't so bad. We went through the first social media platform that allowed us to connect with random people. We actually went through something called ICQ, which was really the first instant messaging platform. And we've been through the tech bubble. So we know when, as good as it may seem, eventually the bottom will fall out of some of these technologies. We've been through it all, and so we understand. And we've been through things like the housing crash. And so we're thinking to ourselves, why should I learn another new technology? Another new technology is the last thing that I want to learn. We've got kids, we've got a family, significant other, and we've got bills to pay. Who has the time to learn these new things? And I'm sure that's what you're saying. That's what you're rolling your eyes to when it comes to whenever someone starts talking about AI agents, right? You have said that at least internally, at least once. I don't have time to learn these things. And my argument's going to be the other way. Because you don't have time for these things, that's why you should learn the new thing, AI agents, right? What if we could learn something that makes our life faster, easier, and more efficient? That's where AI agents can come in. Those boring, repetitive auto tasks that we've got to do every single day or weekly that we just don't want to do, we can have an agent. We can double ourself, and that second self can take care of those boring tasks while sounding like us, while thinking like us, for better or worse. As it says there, AI agents allow you to automate tasks that would normally take hours or weeks, or in some cases months, to do. Here's some very simple things that AI agents can do. We can automate boring or repetitive tasks. It can give us ideas, and I'll show you examples of that. It can help us think and see differently. We think linear for the most part. We think based off of just our experience. But what if we had a second person, a second Alston, that helps us think and see differently? Think about things in a different way, not just based on our experience, but experiences from everybody. It can do things like help us analyze the TPS report and make smart decisions to make us look good in front of our boss. It could help us create a summary of the meeting and send out notes. So here's some examples, real life examples, that you could use AI agents for. Generate content ideas. If you struggle to come up with content ideas, if you don't have time to come up with content ideas, and that's preventing you from growing an online business, an AI agent could deliver content ideas to you hourly. It can respond to emails. So you get 50,000 emails a day. It can summarize them. It can deliver a report on the most important emails, and it can respond to them. It can take ideas and then expand it. So you could say to your AI agent, hey, I was thinking about getting into basket weaving. Can you do a little bit of research and tell me how much it'll cost? What are some pros and cons, and what are some maybe cheaper alternatives? It can go out and do that research and then deliver that to you. It can do market research. So whether you're starting an online business or you're looking for new angles in your current business, it can do that market research for you daily, weekly, monthly, or whatever. It can summarize messages, and it can schedule and reschedule with just either a click of the button or a simple conversation with your agent. But you might be thinking, Alston, I'm old. How and where do I get started? And the easiest way to get started is to think about the end in mind. Think about the tasks that you have to do that you don't want to do. Start by writing those down. Dinner ideas, but I only have 3 pork chops and a can of corn. What can I make with that? That could be an AI agent that does the thinking for you. You're driving home and you realize that you didn't take out the chicken or the steak. It's still in the freezer. And so you talk to your AI agent. hey, I only have 3 pork chops and a can of corn, and I got to feed a family of 5. Give me some ideas. Listen to the voice message from Aunt Cindy, who's asking you for another favor, or asking you for money, and you can have the AI agent do that, listening to that voice message, and then respond with a pleasant but firm no, so you don't even have to waste your time. Or you could schedule a meeting with your son's school, and then at the end, you could provide a summary and a confirmation of the meeting time. And then that confirmation could be sent to you. These are all tasks that come up every single day. Or you could even do something like, we're entering into a holiday weekend. It could prepare a recipe. It could prepare an entire 3-day meal plan just at the click of a button, and you don't even have to log into the computer now. And then once you have ideas, break them down into tiny pieces. For example, what are the steps to schedule a meeting? Obviously, you've got to listen to the message, or your agent has to read the email. You've got to send a calendar invite, and then you can confirm. Think about, after that, what websites or applications will I need to schedule this meeting? And then once you have the steps broken down into pieces, you just put the puzzle pieces together. And I'm going to show you exactly what that means and how to do that so that it makes sense in just a moment. So for example, if you are scheduling a meeting with your son's school, the first step is to maybe look for a new email or look for keywords within a new email. And then you respond to the email with a Google Calendar invite. And then step 3 would be send an email confirming the time and a summary of the email. And then after all that, it could send you a text message or an SMS message to confirm the meeting and a summary of what the meeting will be about. Okay? And to do that, you essentially will find different platforms or apps that will put all of these different puzzle pieces together. And I'll show you a few of them right now. So the one that I am using most often is one called N8N. Now, these are just tools that are going to help you solve a problem. As you've heard me say before, don't fall in love with tools. That's a life lesson. You can use something called make.com. And then another one that is really popular is Zapier. Okay? Each one of these will perform tasks. Not all of them will work interchangeably. So pick one that you feel most comfortable with and then move on to the next step. The next step is to take whatever boring, repetitive, automated tasks or boring or repetitive tasks that you have and see if you can automate them. If we look at N8N, for example, here are a few just boring, repetitive tasks that I have done or have automated so that I can spend more time doing other things. For example, this task right here, or workflow, will grab a TikTok video that I upload and it'll just summarize it. It will summarize it, it will transcribe it, and then it puts it in an Airtable for me to use later. And all of these different automations and workflows are based off of that. So now that I have that summary, I can create a tweet. And to show you what that looks like, if we look at my profile, here's a tweet that I created. Creating content just for likes won't sustain a business. Focus on building a solid foundation with a plan, an email list, and digital products. That way you can gain control and stability. Ready to collaborate. That is a tweet that I no longer have to do. That is reaching out and connecting with people while I was doing other stuff. For example, at 7:47 a.m., I was sitting in parent drop-off line. I was dropping my kids off at school. And so I can connect with people from around the world without me having to think of this idea, write it down, and then post it, and then find the hashtags. This is all done automatically. But if we go back, a very simple one that you could come up with is you could just grab your TikTok URLs. So anytime you upload a brand new video, it saves the video's link in a table. I use Airtable, you could use Google Sheets. Again, think of a task that you want to do, you need to do, you have to do, but you don't have the time. It would take me much longer to, after I upload, go back, get the URL for that TikTok video and paste it into a Google Sheet, and then grab the caption and place it in a Google Sheet as well. So this is going to save us time. In just a moment, I'm going to show you how you can essentially start building out your first automation. One more that I really, really enjoy is this simple Instagram automation where I create cute images. I actually uploaded this to the wrong place. No, that's right. I created cute images on a brand new Instagram account. This is all done automated. This simple workflow or AI agent takes a idea from a Google Sheet. It creates this image, and then it actually creates the caption as well. All automated. All of this is completely automated. It's all hands off. All of these different images, with the exception of this video, are all done without me. I set this up once, and it works twice a day, every 12 hours and 1 minute, without me being a part of it. So now that you have a very basic idea of what you're doing, an AI agent is just something that's going to create and automate tasks on your behalf. Let's go ahead and talk about how you could create your first automation. I'm going to use N8N. You can use Zapier or Make to get started. The first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to create a brand new workflow. This is going to be how we create a task. Each workflow is made up of modules. Modules allow us to connect the puzzle pieces together. For example, there's a Gmail module that we can use in order to check emails. The first thing that we want to do before we can add a Gmail module is to create what's called a trigger, to create an action. And we can have any type of triggers. We can have a manual trigger so that we have to click a button in order for it to work. We can have a trigger that runs on a schedule. We could even have a trigger based on Telegram, Notion, or Airtable. So a little bit earlier, I mentioned sending a message or checking a message, and that's how you could trigger an event. We can also create a form. So let's say, for example, you're at a conference and you're having people enter in a form in order to win a free prize. When someone enters a form, they submit the form, it could be sent to it could trigger your AI agent to perform tasks. Maybe to send an automated email, a custom automated email based on their work history, based on the industry that they're in, and even their role. It could schedule a meeting for you. It could schedule a follow-up for you to call them later. It could even auto-dial, really, or chat message, as you can see. But what we're going to do is we're going to trigger manually. Now that we have our first node, our first action, we can click on this plus sign to add on additional actions. Here we can add in something like an AI agent to think for us. So let's say, for example, we had a trigger or an initial action that is a form submission. So we go to a conference, and instead of collecting business cards, we have people enter in their first name, last name, their job responsibility or function, and the company that they're with. Whenever they hit submit, it could trigger an AI agent to look over those forms and send a custom email and how we could help them, the business that the partnership that we could form with them. Another option is to simply type in different applications. For example, Gmail. We could connect Gmail. We could have Gmail read an email. We could have Gmail download the most recent message. So for example, it says get a message here. We could get many messages. We could mark a message as read. These are all different actions that a workflow can take on our behalf. So maybe we click on get a message. Now inside of here, what we need to do is we need to do what's called add a credential. We need to let Gmail know that it's okay for them to connect with N8N to perform these different actions. And to do that, we can just click on select a credential, create a new credential. And what you'll need to do here is you'll need to get what's called a client ID and a client secret. In order to get those, you'll have to go to actual Gmail and Google to get this information. What's really cool about N8N is that you can click on this more information here, and it's going to tell you exactly where you need to go and what you need to get in order to get the things that you need to connect. Now that sounds kind of confusing, but let's assume that we were wanting to set up a Gmail account. What you can do is you can just Google Gmail API, and it's going to take you right where you need to go, right? And you just do a little bit of reading. You can also watch a number of YouTube videos, and those videos will show you how to connect everything up. In fact, you could just YouTube, we could say, you can just YouTube how to connect N8N to Gmail. And there's a bunch of videos out here that'll show you how to set everything up in less than 5 minutes. So what you'll do, and I'll just connect this real quick so that you can see that, Google is a part of Google Cloud. You go to Google Cloud and you actually search for what's called APIs and services. Under APIs and services, you would type in Gmail because that's what we're using right now. Gmail API, click on enable. And once that's enabled, you've got to go back and get your custom credentials under credentials. Now, I'm not going to show you this part because these are my custom credentials and what I use in order to hook everything up. You don't want to share your credentials with other people. Your credentials are like your username and password to your bank. If people get access to your credentials, it could cost you a lot of money because they could run different services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it gets pretty expensive if you are using these services frequently and you're pulling in a lot of data and information. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to real quickly connect my client ID and secret ID, and then I can move on to the next step, which is show you some things that you can do. All right, now that we are successfully connected, what we can do is we can look for messages. We can look for messages based on different keywords, as I mentioned. But first thing we are going to do is I'm going to delete this. I'm going to go to Gmail once again. Now, what's really cool about N8N and these other workflow builders is that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of different applications that you can connect. I would say most major businesses have some sort of application that you can connect so that you can work quicker and easier. In the event that there isn't an application, you can connect what's called an HTTP request. That's going to be outside the scope of this video, but just know that you can connect literally to anything as long as they have an API. So what we can do is we can change this to get many messages, and then we can limit it to 50 and click test step. Now here, we are going to get, hopefully we'll get a bunch of emails from my Gmail account. And from there, you can see I've got a limit of 50. And what we can do here is we can then now manipulate these in different ways. We could, as I mentioned, look for certain ones. We can reply, write messages. We have all sorts of different options. And just to show you, I'm going to go over to my Gmail account. And as you can see here, we've got this email. It says, attention, your Patreon page will unpublish in 30 days due to inactivity. This top one right here is your Patreon page will unpublish in 30 days due to inactivity. So you can see there that worked. Now, what we can do now that we've got that, we can connect another piece of the puzzle. We can click on the plus sign here. We can do Gmail, or we could use an AI agent to process the request or reply to the email. We've got a lot of options, right? So maybe, what can we do? So one really interesting thing that I want to point out is all of the different options that you have, all of the different APIs they're called, or nodes that you can connect. Just typing in a letter, you can see there's all sorts of stuff. And in fact, if I type in Google, you can see that Google has a ton of these different nodes that you can connect. Not just Gmail. You could actually take some information and then create Google Slides, for example. So what we can do with this node, now that we've got some information, we can, as I mentioned, process it. We can reply to messages. We've got a lot of options. And if we're thinking about this, once again, we want to think about the pieces, individual pieces of our puzzle. So let's say, for example, we wanted to reply to a message. We can simply drag and drop the message ID, which is this ID right here, right in there. And then we could type a message, do not delete. And then we could essentially just send this off. But a better option might be to have an AI agent write a message. We could have OpenAI write this message. We could have a number of AI agents write a message. And each AI agent has different options and different things that you can connect. For example, there is a chat model, and most people are familiar with ChatGPT, but there's all of these different models that you can connect. We can connect OpenAI, or essentially ChatGPT, and then within that, we have all of these different options that we can connect as well. I'm just going to stick with that. And what we can do is we can add in different tools. So we can click on a tool here, and then once again, inside our tools, we could connect maybe a Google Calendar. So I don't have the Google Calendar tool connected to my account, but that's another option as well. The next thing that we could do is let's change our trigger here. We're going to change our trigger. Once again, we're going to use a Gmail trigger like this, and on message received. So anytime it receives a new message, it can respond. So right now it's set to check every minute, but what we want to do is we want to check every hour, or we can do every 30 minutes. But let's click on fetch test, and this most recent email is they're going to unpublish in 30 days due to inactivity. So you can see that's the email right there. We go back, we can click this plus sign, go Gmail. Now you might be wondering or saying to yourself, Alston, this looks pretty good, but isn't the entire email missing? So if we looked at this, you can see there's much more than what meets the eye on this one. What we can do is we can click on simplify, fetch test, and it should give us the complete message. As you can see here, it gives us much more of this text here. Now what we can do, we can create an AI agent that actually processes the information and creates a relevant output. So if we look at this, scroll over, HTML, text, this is all of it right here, right? So what we can do, or what we should do, is we're going to delete this. We're going to move this over, and we are going to add in our AI agent. And we are going to tell the AI agent, please respond to this email in a friendly but forceful tone, asking them not to close the account. Okay. And the cool part is that we can drag over this text. Once I find it, we can drag over the text, and it's going to read and analyze the text for us. As you can see, when you drag it over and it's green, that means good. We can choose the chat model. Once again, we're going to choose OpenAI, leave that as is. And what you can do is you can even add this think tool. You don't have to, but we can add in a think tool to help it think a little bit easier. I'm going to say use the think tool to make the best decision and output possible. All right, so we're going to click on test step, and hopefully it gives us a pretty good answer. Now again, we could do this automated based on words or based on how important a message is. And look at this. Here's a drafted response. Dear Patreon team. Let's see. Dear Patreon team, thank you for reaching out and for your efforts in maintaining a safe and engaging community for creators. I appreciate the heads up regarding my account's inactivity. However, I'd like to clarify that I do not wish to close my account. And we could even say make this sound more informal if we want to. But then the final step, if we wanted to, is to send this message out. And we can send it to the thread ID, which we can get from this trigger like this. Message or snippet ID, we can just drag right over like this. Then we can drag over our message. What we would obviously want to do is we want to clean this up a little bit so that it doesn't say here's a draft of your email response. But if we just click test this step, you can see that it was sent. And to verify that it was sent, we can come back over to our sent, and we can see here that it was sent out. Here's a draft of your email response. But yeah, that's the basics of what you can do with AI agents. Now this could be done automatically for you. You can make it more general so that it's actually answering relevant questions. And then you can add in things like your name and email. So like at the bottom here, it had, let me see, at the bottom, It said thank you, your name, and email. You can add in things like your name and your email to make it even more personalized. But this is just the basics of what you can do with creating AI agents and AI workflows. This is not even 0.5% of what you can do. This is the very basic thing, but this should help you become excited. This should empower you to obviously want to learn more. And I would love to help you learn more when it comes to AI agents and automation. You just have to comment, and what I would love to do is to create one video every Saturday helping old people like me do different things inside of workflows and N88 and different automations so that you have the capability and power to do stuff. So comment down below if you have questions, things that you'd like to see done, and I'll make them. Every Saturday, I intend on making something new to help you get up and running.